welcome back to another video. If you're new, hi, this is my channel, this is my Instagram, this is my Twitter. Go follow me. Make sure you hit the big red subscribe button down below and the like button if you do like this video. But I'm doing another book review and it is Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa. Don't know how you pronounce that, but is this not one of the most gothic books you have ever seen in your life? I mean, that was my first thought when I saw it. If you saw my Instagram, you would have obviously seen me say that. One of the things, I mean, this book was, it was like £11, £11.30 something, which for a paperback, I think is quite pricey. But I think the reason they did it is because it's printed on quite thick paper. I mean, these are thick pages. So, yes. Anyway, this is the first series in The Bargainer. And it's all about Fae, and it is an adult book in the fact that they don't warn you about that. No, it doesn't say anything about it, but there is adult scenes in it, so if you're under the age of 18 or 16 or whatever, don't read it. But it was a very, very good book. I read it cover to cover in like 3 hours. I was in the zone when it came to this book. So it's a modern take on supernatural beings. It's about this siren, Calypso, who is one of the owners of a she's a private investigator, and she uses her powers to like get criminals, get confessions and stuff like that. In this book, it goes back and forth between 8 years ago and the present day. So it's how the background is how she met the Bargainer and her life when she was 16, and then we fast forward into the future and they all sort of intertwine and you see the interactions between her and the Bargainer, which is really, really cute. Completely ship them, I mean, obviously. It's very similar to A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is one of the reasons I picked it up, because people who read A Court of Thorns and Roses actually said, look, if you want to keep going in this sort of direction, pick up Rhapsodic. I did. It is very similar in the fact that the dynamics between the two main characters are very, very similar to Rhysand and Feyre, although nothing's ever going to really compare to Faysand or to A Court of Thorns and Roses series. But you can tell it definitely took elements from it, with the bargaining, the bracelet instead of the tattoo, the way there's a spoiler near the end that is very similar to a spoiler in A Court of Thorns and Roses. So yeah, very, very similar. And as someone who loved it, so obviously I enjoyed this book very much, but it was very, very similar, and it was a bit makes me wonder if she's actually read A Court of Thorns and Roses, because it was quite similar. The writing is funny. It's all from Calypso's point of view, and yeah, there's a lot of there's quite a bit of swearing and a lot of, yeah, just normal people humour, in the fact that it's not too fantasy based. It's actually how you think someone might react in this situation. For me, obviously I love shipping characters together, but for me, I would have preferred a slower burn. Like, I love reading all about the romance and stuff like that. Like, yes please, all about that. But when it came to certain revelations and confessions and certain things, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but yeah, I would have liked it to have been either closer to the end of the book or in the next book, because I think it's a trilogy or a quadrilogy. I think there's 4 books. I think there is. But yeah, so I would have liked it to be a little bit slower. Obviously, get all your hot makeout sessions, have some sexy times if you really want to, or like, yeah, do some cute flirty stuff. That's great. Which there is oodles of flirting, so much sexual tension in this book, I mean, seriously. But I would have preferred it to be a lot slower, which I don't normally say about books, but it would have been nice to have a slower burn, because it just sort of seemed like they're in this dynamic, then it eased in. So like, this much of the book compared to this much was great. That was how a really nice romance, you got it, ace, yay. Then suddenly it seemed to escalate very, very quickly at the end, which I wasn't the biggest fan of that. The ending, see, I say this about a lot of books, in the fact that they could have been longer. The only book I've never said that about is, you know, Kingdom of Ash, because holy crap. But no, it could, I mean, this was 400 odd pages, but as I said, they were quite thick pages. So to make this book, you could have had a lot more pages, to be fair. But yeah, it could have been longer, just for the fact, this is the only reason, that the ending bit, like I'd say the last 3-4 chapters, could have been more detailed, and it could have been, yeah, drawn out a bit more so we could learn more about the villain, because we just sort of got thrust into it, and then there's mention of this villain, ooh, spooky, cool, okay, whatever. And then suddenly there's the big bad, and then something happens to the big bad, and then something happens here, and it's like there didn't seem to be a lot of storytelling. It just seemed to be boom, and then boom, it's done. And it does, although the ending, despite not my favourite ending, it does leave it open very well for the next book, because I know that it's a trilogy and stuff like that. Although the way it was going, I was kind of surprised, because I thought it was going to just end. And the way it ended, if you didn't know it was going to be a series, then you would have just sort of thought, oh, okay, it's done. But no, the second book, I'm very excited to read the second book, because I like the characters and I like the storyline, but I just kind of wish Laura would drag some of it out, as you will. Like, I don't want her to drag it out so like it gets boring, because I know some books do that way too much. So it's kind of a middle, which is really annoying, because I don't even know. I think because the way I write a lot of description, like loads of description, some dialogue, loads of description type thing. And some people don't like that, some people like that. But I just wish for a fantasy book it was a bit more, yeah, detail. Details are what I'm gonna have to go for, but it was all great until that end bit. That end bit really annoyed me, because it just seemed very, very abrupt and very sudden. It's like we didn't really learn a lot about it. So, and it wasn't all that surprising to me either, like who the bad guy was. I kind of guessed that just from, yeah, that was great. So obviously there's going to be a big bad in all the other books, but yeah, I mean, it was a good book, and I know I'm sort of slating it a little bit, but I mean, it's a book review. I kind of need to do the pros and cons. So it was great in the fact that I'm absolutely a sucker for fae in books, fantasy books in general, and it was really, really good. Lots of sexual tension. As I said, adult book, warning. But no, that ending kind of sucked the life out of it a little bit, but it was still very, very good. Up until those last 2 chapters, amazing book, definitely recommend. I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads. I need to do my review on Goodreads, actually. That's for me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, don't forget to hit a thumbs up down below. It'd be greatly appreciated. Hit the big red subscribe button down below if you're not subscribed to my wonderful, magical, fantastical internet family. Comment down below if you've read this book and what you thought about it. I'm intrigued, because I know it's not actually that famous of a book, but it seems to be after people read A Court of Thorns and Roses, and they get recommended this book. So I definitely want to see what you guys thought about it. I want to see if you guys agree or disagree with me. Obviously no hate. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye bye.